being a lawyer, I'll tell you that much.
How does it get confusing with all of the brothers in your head, and how do you sort all that out? Just throw back some boots?
The question is, does it get confusing? And either I'm so vacuous that I can't track things well enough to get confused, okay? Because I really don't get confused. I mean, everything is so obvious to me. Everything is so, I mean, I'll make mistakes like anyone else would, but it's so separate. Everything is separate. Everything is self-contained. Everything is its own thing.
So everyone's not all talking at once.
No. It's really sequential. You know, like I'll think of one, here's where we are here, here's where we are there, you know, that kind of thing. It's almost like train tracks. It's like you kind of like, well, that intersect, you know. And then you have crashes and injuries, and then the ambulance comes on by, and arrests are made, and then, you know.
That's my point.
Jose shows up, and then the Caldwell Journal writes about it. So that's really what it's like. Yes?
Darius is a brother, but he doesn't have a warrior name.
Okay, the question is, Darius is a brother, but he doesn't have a brotherhood name, and that's because he was an aristocrat before he was a warrior. And he is one of the few that actually followed that pattern. All warriors are by definition aristocrats. Some aristocrats are warriors. The question is whether or not the genetic pool that they were drawn from made them sufficient to be on the brotherhood functioning level. Because you remember in the beginning, they bred strength with strength over and over and over again. But then you had, as with limited genetic pools, you began to have mutations over time, like that's why Wrath is blind. That's why Quinn has mismatched eyes. And that's why I think it's great about the New World Order, that they're bringing in other people and stuff. That has to happen, because it's a self-referential gene pool that just doesn't work. And so Darius's mother was a chosen. So the question is, he had an aristocratic father first, but you will notice that he ended up in the warrior camp. So there's some freaky stuff that goes on there, which you'll find out in John Matthews' book. Yes?
When you're writing the brothers' dialogue, do you constantly go back to the
The question is, do I have to go back? Do you think I clean up language very often? I don't really clean them up, because I listen very carefully the first time, and it is just what it is. You know what I mean? Which is really, they just have potty mouths like me. It's amazing that that Vicious and I don't get along better, for example. You know? How are we doing on time? Do we feel like still questions a little bit? How are we doing? We hanging in? Okay, yes.
Have you ever had, like, your editor or anybody say, okay, that's too far, you can't do that, kind of X that out, like, kind of gone over some of the editor's boundaries?
The question is whether or not I've ever had an editor X out something that I've done because it crosses a boundary. No one changes the books but me. Any changes, any steps back from some line is the result of a conversation my editor and I have, because some of the stuff that's in my head is just not palatable to the marketplace, and I'm not in the business of offending people. And so I want to be very respectful about how I handle some things, like the Vicious stuff with the BDSM stuff. That was really watered down, you know what I mean, relatively speaking, and I think it was appropriate to do that, and I was the one who made that choice. For example, there was...
Appropriate to tone it down, you mean?
I'm sorry?
Appropriate to tone it down?
Yeah. I mean, versus what I really saw in my head. Because it's just, you don't need to go there. There's no value add. I mean, the point's been made, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, in Dark Lover, there was a scene where Billy Riddle and Mr. X, I actually posted on the website. And, I wrote it, and it's a scene that definitely walked a line. And, my editor and I said, does this really have to be in there? Like now that my audience kind of knows what they're in for, we would absolutely put it in. But you don't want to start offending people right out of the box. God knows there's plenty of time to offend them after they've been with you for 10 years. My thing though is I'm a control freak by nature, and so these books are, my choice. I own the mistakes. I own the things that I do well and the things that I wish I'd done better. And so that's why. That's why I worship my editor, just because she kind of gets it, she gets where I'm at, and so it's a collaborative process, but it's my name on these covers, and I have to take the heat for what happens and doesn't happen, or happens over and over again, and again, and then they took their clothes off, and happened again, and then it was time to go into the bathroom. Sorry, yes.
That's fine. He and Lassiter. I think I was reading it in your Insider's Guide, and I thought it was referenced again in love revenged in the beginning, but I don't want to spoil anything. It's like, how soon, or are we going to find out what's going on with those two? And
The
what
Lassiter and Vicious issue thing is more specific to them as people than the larger world.
Okay.
So I don't know how far that's going to go.
Okay.
I suspect, though, if I have to do Vicious's story, that's going to have to come out. Because that is not a good relationship. But then, seriously, Vicious gets along with two people, really. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's it. You know? Yes. My favorite part of Love Revenge, I have a ton of them, honestly. I really do. There would be times when I'd be writing that book, and aside from the sniffling that happened, I would just be roaring, and some parts of it are so funny. And I think going down in the boom chicka wow wow, and can I call you Z-Pact, and not if you want to keep breathing? Yeah. So I mean, to a lot of my favorite scenes, because the stuff that breaks your heart as readers breaks my heart as the reader. And I feel in a lot of ways I'm nothing but the first reader. So I have all the range of emotions about stuff. When Wellesley died, I was heartbroken. And the thing that was the worst about that was I saw what happened afterwards. Like, I saw the picture of what she looked like after that happened, and so I obviously stopped that because there's no reason to put that in. There's no value add. I mean, that just the point's done, you know. But like, for instance, that scene where it's like, when Tor's calling home, and just as her voice comes over the thing, that's when I'm like, ugh. I mean, my husband would just come in and just be tearing up. So Love Revenge, I think there are a couple of really wonderful scenes in there that I love. I think when Revenge gets down on one knee in front of Elena, after having told the princess he bows before no one, and for him to take her common ked's shoe and treat it with such respect. I mean, I just thought that was gorgeous. I just thought that was a wonderful moment between the two of them that was just totally awesome. And I also, I like, I liked a lot of the scenes. I thought Wrath and Beth sitting on that picnic table that he had sat on, way back in Dark Lover, and kind of looking through the glass doors at her old apartment, and that they had put the futon in the same place she had. It's little stuff like that I just yeah, and it's like, don't you understand, you're everything, Yeah.
I'm just ignoring what people are saying.
And I thought there were a lot of wonderful things, and I think that I knew that Revenge was going to be a hero. And this is going to spoil the book for some people, but I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. I had a vision of Revenge, okay? Hanging, almost like he was on a crucifix, hanging like this with his eyes closed, and there was this sort of light coming down over him. And then all of a sudden, this shadow came up over his whole body. Well, and down, you know what I mean? Well, I guess it was, it was down. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, that image is so clear in my head, that means something. And of course, that was that horrific thing. And one of the most horrific lines in the book to me is, he would have screamed, but then he would have, I just, that and the six-knuckled hands of the princesses, yes. Oh yeah, the 4 statues? Well, I mean, the question is about the 4 statues, and it's just the 4 stages of life. There was no larger significance than that, Well, the vines over the statues were just that his parents' garden had been overgrown over time because it had suffered from neglect because his parents were self-destructing. You know what I mean? And I thought that one of the great things, one of the truly most romantic scenes in that book to me was Cornelia talking him through the hallucinations, and the way to calm and focus him was to give him the pretend tools so that he could clear off these statues, and then at the end, the 4 stages of life were revealed clean, and it was as if, he'd gone through the physical detoxification from the addiction thing, and now he was kind of clean, so it was like them starting fresh together, Yes?